All right, so today we're taking a deep dive straight into the core of AI. We're talking about systems that can actually pull information from external sources to answer your questions.
It's like having a superpowered research assistant.
Even cooler. But, it's really fascinating about
These retrieval augmented generation systems.
that's RG systems.
We're not just looking at if they can answer a question, but how well they do it.
So it's not just about these AI systems like spitting out something.
Yeah.
We need them to be smart.
About how they find and use information. Exactly.
And that's where this deep dive gets really interesting.
We're focusing on two key metrics: context precision and context recall.
Context precision and context recall.
Imagine a detective solving a case. They need the right clues.
And enough clues to crack it.
Right. Same idea here.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's start with context precision. It sounds like this is all about making sure the AI is finding the most relevant info.
You got it. Context precision measures whether the AI is prioritizing the most relevant information when it searches through its sources.
So think of it like a Google search.
You want the best results right at the top.
One of our sources actually dives into this with a formula called precision at K.
Precision at K.
It's like the AI is racing to find the most relevant information.
The faster, the higher the score.
Here's why it matters. High context precision means you're getting accurate and concise answers from the AI without having to, go through a ton of information.
Who wants to scroll through pages of irrelevant data?
Not me. So real-world examples.
Absolutely. Asking an AI about France and its capital.
Okay.
In a high context precision scenario, the AI nails it. Location and capital right in the first chunk of information. Boom, efficient and accurate.
Okay, so that's like our detective finding the smoking gun right away.
Exactly.
But what happens when the AI doesn't have such good context precision?
Well, the source contrasts that with a low context precision example. The AI buries the crucial fact about Paris being the capital in the second chunk of information. It's still technically correct, but less efficient, and it could lead to, incomplete answers.
So it's like our detective finding a bunch of random clues first and only stumbling across the important stuff later on.
Not ideal. And that brings us to our second metric, context recall. It's not just about having the right information, but having enough of it to get the complete picture.
So context recall is making sure our AI detective isn't missing any pieces of the puzzle.
Precisely. It measures how well the AI captures all the important facts from a source. Are there any gaps in its knowledge?
And I bet our France example comes back into play here, right?
You know it. In a high context recall scenario, the AI successfully finds facts about both France's location and its capital, giving us a comprehensive answer. But with low context recall, the AI might only tell us the location, completely missing that crucial piece about Paris.
Okay, I'm seeing how context precision and recall work together. It's like precision is our laser focus, making sure we're zeroing in on the most relevant information, and recall is our wide-angle lens, making sure we're not missing any important details.
That's a great way to visualize it. And here's where things get even more interesting. One of our sources highlights how the question itself can actually influence context recall.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So the way we ask the question impacts how much information the AI tries to find.
Exactly. While context recall isn't directly tied to the question asked, the question sets the stage for what information is considered important.
It's like the question gives the AI a search zone, and context recall measures how thoroughly it explores that zone.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So even if the AI is great at finding information, the question can limit what it's looking for in the first place. That's a fascinating nuance.
It is. It highlights how important it is to not only evaluate the AI's performance, but also think critically about how we're framing our questions. Are we giving the AI the right guidance to find the information we need?
All right, so we've got these two key metrics, context precision and context recall. And they're both crucial for understanding how well an AI system is finding and using information. But before we jump into how all of this affects you, let's take a quick look at two other metrics mentioned in our sources: answer, correctness, and faithfulness.
These are important because they move beyond just finding information and look at actually using it to answer a question. Correctness is about whether the AI's answer is actually accurate. Does it match reality?
And then there's faithfulness. It's like making sure the AI isn't going rogue and making stuff up. Is it sticking to the facts, or is it hallucinating information that isn't really there?
Exactly. These metrics, while we won't dive too deep into them today, work in conjunction with context precision and context recall to give us a complete picture of the AI's performance.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for understanding how these AI systems are evaluated, but what does it all mean for you? Why should you care about context precision and context recall? We'll unpack all of that in part 2 of our deep dive, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to our deep dive. As we've been exploring, context precision and context recall are like our secret decoder rings for understanding how AI systems are finding, you know,
Using information.
But now I'm curious, why should we care about all this? How does it affect us in the real world?
That's the million-dollar question, right? As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, understanding these metrics helps us become more informed users of this technology.
Exactly.
So it's not just about like AI performance in a lab. It's about the quality and reliability of the information we're getting from these systems every day.
Precisely. Think about all the ways we interact with AI.
Yeah.
Search engines, chatbots, personalized recommendations. If we don't understand how these systems are working, we're essentially flying blind.
And that can have some serious consequences, especially if we're relying on AI for important decisions.
Exactly. Imagine you're using an AI-powered research tool for a project.
Okay.
If the system has low context precision, you might end up wasting hours sifting through irrelevant data.
Yeah, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
It's overwhelming and unhelpful.
Ugh. I can relate to that feeling.
What about low context recall?
What kind of problems can that cause?
Well, in that case, you might be missing out on crucial information without even realizing it.
Oh.
It's like the AI is only showing you a small piece of the puzzle.
Okay. That's a bit unsettling.
It makes you realize how important it is for these systems to get it right, especially in fields like, say, medicine.
Yeah, where the stakes are high.
You hit the nail on the head. Imagine an AI system assisting with medical diagnoses. It needs both high context precision and high context recall to be effective. You want it to pinpoint the most likely conditions, but also consider all relevant symptoms and medical history to avoid missing something.
That's a powerful example. It really highlights how these metrics aren't just technical jargon, They have real implications for how we understand and use information.
And it's not just about accuracy. It's also about trust. Can we trust AI systems to give us a complete and unbiased picture? That's where faithfulness comes into play. We need to make sure the AI is sticking to the facts and not making things up.
So it's like making sure our AI detective isn't
Planting evidence.
planting evidence or fabricating witness statements.
Exactly.
We need AI systems that are both competent and honest.
Exactly. And as AI plays a larger role in decision-making, from recommendations to financial analysis, understanding these metrics helps us evaluate the information we're being given. Are we getting the right information? And are we getting enough of it to make informed choices?
It all comes back to that interplay between context precision and context recall.
Right.
It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about finding the right balance for the task at hand.
Right. In some cases, a highly focused, precise answer might be all we need. But in other situations, a broader understanding is crucial for making good decisions.
So it's almost like precision gives us the executive summary, while recall provides the full report. Both have their place depending on the context.
I love that analogy. And as we become more savvy consumers of AI-generated information, understanding these metrics empowers us to ask the right questions and demand better performance from these systems.
It's about taking control of our information diet and making sure we're not being misled or misinformed. But how can we actually put this knowledge into practice? That's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into AI evaluation. We've covered a lot of ground from those context, precision, and recall metrics to answer correctness and faithfulness.
But now let's get practical. How can you as a listener use this knowledge to, navigate a world that's becoming increasingly reliant on AI?
Right, because it's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another to actually apply them in the real world when you're, interacting with real AI systems. I think the first step is just being aware. Just knowing that these metrics exist and what they measure is huge. It allows you to ask the right questions about any AI system you encounter.
So instead of just accepting whatever information an AI gives us, we can think critically about it. Like, where did it come from and is it actually reliable?
Exactly. Let's say you're using an AI chatbot for customer service.
Okay.
And you're getting vague or inconsistent answers. Knowing about context recall, you might start to wonder, is this AI missing information from my account history or past conversations?
Or imagine you're using an AI-powered search engine and the results seem completely off. That could be a sign of a context precision issue.
Right.
Like, is it prioritizing, clickbait headlines over real informative content?
By understanding these metrics, you can start to diagnose potential problems and make more informed decisions about which AI systems to trust and how to use them effectively.
It's almost like we have X-ray vision, like we can peek behind the curtain and see how the AI is gathering information.
And that becomes even more crucial as AI gets more sophisticated. Take, for example, hallucinations. When an AI generates information that is completely made up but presented as fact, these can be tricky to spot if you're not paying attention.
Yikes. So basically, we need to be on the lookout for our AI systems writing fan fiction. How do we protect ourselves from being misled by, like a fake news situation?
A healthy dose of skepticism is always a good starting point, along with some good old-fashioned fact-checking. Don't just blindly accept what an AI tells you, especially if the information seems, too good to be true or goes against what you already know.
So it's back to the basics of critical thinking.
Evaluating sources, considering different perspectives, and double-checking information even if it comes from a fancy AI system.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So remember, AI is a tool. It can be powerful and useful, but it's up to us to use it responsibly and thoughtfully.
By understanding how AI systems are evaluated, we can make sure they're working for us, not against us. We can advocate for more transparency from companies, and ultimately shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
So as you go forth into this increasingly AI-driven world, remember what we talked about today.
Ask the right questions. Be skeptical.
And, most importantly, never stop learning.
The future of information is in your hands.
That brings us to the end of another deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of AI evaluation with us. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in the age of intelligent machines. Until next time, stay curious.